What's going on YouTube? JT's Born here, and welcome back to another edition of my Godzilla and Marvel comic book reviews. Finally, I was able to get my updated version of this comic book through Amazon, because before, when I initially bought it, it was some Green Goblin comic, and I'm like, what the hell is this? This isn't Godzilla versus Thor. And I tried to refresh and it wouldn't update it. It wasn't until looking through some of the Amazon reviews, somebody's like, you got to go to your content page, look at the books you paid for that way, and then find the updated thing. You can't just automatically update through the Kindle app. You have to kind of go through your content page on Amazon. So for those who bought it through Amazon, it's still like that. Check your content section and then click updated version of the book, and then it'll populate that way. I don't know why I couldn't just do it automatically, but hey, it is what it is. But finally, I've been able to read Godzilla vs. Thor. I think this is the final issue in the Godzilla vs. series that Marvel has planned for right now. But because I know Godzilla is going to be, against the Marvel Universe is kind of the next series that they got going on right now. And I covered the first issue of that yesterday, and I really like that comic book. And I'm pleased to announce that I think this might be my favorite of the Godzilla vs. series. So they saved the best for last. And what I like too is that this basically kind of acts as a sequel to GMK. It exists kind of in its own little world, because GMK kind of is in continuity, if you just based on what happens here. So we see the hand, and they have references to other Marvel stuff going on. They kind of use the blood of various warriors and that to kind of bathe Godzilla to kind of resuscitate him and bring him back to full strength. So again, this is fully canon to GMK, at least in this alternative timeline, because that's what Godzilla's design is, and they directly reference the events of it. Because you remember at the end of GMK, Godzilla's heart was kind of the last thing left beating. Well, in here they kind of make note of that. So the hand unleashes a resurrected Godzilla to unleash hell amongst everyone else. And of course, it's the GMK design. GMK is my favorite of the Millennium series, so I like the fact that this is directly kind of tied into that. They reference the Guardian monsters and all that. So think of this as the GMK sequel. I know I've reiterated that several times, but that's kind of what this is. So then Thor finally shows up, and then we get our big epic battle. And the majority of this issue is some really grand, epic looking artwork between Godzilla and Thor. And this one's written by Jason Aaron with artwork by Aaron Kuder. The artwork is really strong here. Like I said, Godzilla looks great in here. There's some epic imagery. Godzilla and Thor face off, and it's just a really grand back and forth battle between these two. I mean, you see Thor do everything he can in his power. He kind of pulls some power from the Bifrost to kind of freeze Godzilla temporarily, and it seems like, okay, that's where he's going to be for right now. That is until the hand pulls one of the God Killer blades, the last silver of All Black, the Necro Sword. So the last bit of the Necro Sword is kind of thrown into Godzilla, and that makes him even more deadly than before. So now he's got the power to kill the gods and all that too. Even Lady Sif is killed as a result of this stuff. So then it's Thor versus Godzilla once more. So now he's Godzilla the God Butcher, and you can see kind of how he's formed. What I've liked about this Godzilla Marvel stuff was we've seen Godzilla kind of evolve into different forms. We've seen it with the Power Cosmic. We've seen Hulk Godzilla. We've seen Symbiote Godzilla. We've seen all sorts of different variations of the character. I don't know if they'll ever do direct follow-ups to those issues or whatnot, but I think here, it was kind of utilized in a pretty cool way. I think the only one who didn't upgrade was Godzilla vs. X-Men and Godzilla vs. Avengers, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. There's been a lot of these books right here, but man, look at the art style right here. Look at how Godzilla looks with his dorsal plates and all that. Definitely upgraded a little bit from the GMK. So imagine GMK just becoming even more powerful than he was. And you see him have the blue atomic breath beforehand, but when he's got the Necro Sword or whatever kind of infused in him, so now he has not just atomic breath, but the Necro breath, and it's purple and it looks great. And Thor just gives everything he had. He's if he knows he's going to die, but he's going to take Godzilla with him. And then it's just kind of this back and forth kaboom explosion, yada yada yada, which basically sends them both to Valhalla in the end. And in the afterlife, it's Thor there. He sees Godzilla. There's okay, looks like we're going to be fighting from here, and it's some cool epic imagery. It's so be it. So it's Godzilla and that battling in the afterlife together, and that's basically kind of where the issue ends. So yes, Thor and Godzilla ultimately destroyed each other, but their battle rages on into the afterlife. And it was really grand. It was really epic. I like the way it tied into GMK, which is my favorite of the Millennium series. And it just gave us this really awesome Godzilla vs. Thor comic book, from start to finish. And it took itself seriously. There wasn't much in the way for humor. But again, because like I said, if you're dealing with GMK, that was, you know, Godzilla was like based on like the vengeful souls of soldiers from like World War II, and here it's just kind of the aftermath of different warriors and the hand kind of like sacrificing to kind of bring it back and all that too, and having Thor in there as well. It's definitely like some really kind of cool stuff though. So as a sequel to GMK, I thought this was a pretty epic one, since we were never given a sequel to that movie. At least I got it sort of in a comic book form, so I thought that was pretty cool. But anyways, glad to have finally covered this issue. It's been like bothering me for like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks since this an issue like originally came out, and I've been like wanting to cover it, but now that it's finally here, I feel a bit of relief now that I'm all caught up with the Godzilla Marvel comic books, and I'm excited to see what they do next. So what did you think of Godzilla versus Thor? Post your comments down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to your channel for more content, hit that bell for notifications, all the fun stuff, and as always, take care now. Bye bye then, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.